Now, live, CBS 3 Eyewitness News at 6.
After 2 weeks of delays and false starts, the space shuttle Atlantis is finally on its way.
3 main engines up and burning. 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis. Opening a new
The words they've been waiting to hear. Mission Control closely monitored the liftoff with the help of this NASA video. They call it a clean launch, although 2 pieces of foam did break off. Philadelphia-born pilot Chris Ferguson and the rest of the Atlantis crew are on an 11-day mission in space. Friends and family here in Ferguson's hometown say they're very proud of him.
Look at the one.
And there they go.
You go, Chris.
A proud moment for the Konstance family of Northeast Philadelphia. Only CBS 3 was with them as they watched the launch this morning. They've been friends with Chris Ferguson and his family for 25 years.
It's a celebration of family, of faith, of neighborhood, of a Northeast Philadelphia kid done good.
The Konstances made the trip to Florida to watch the liftoff from the Kennedy Space Center, but they had to return home after the launch was delayed. Now, Atlantis astronaut Chris Ferguson is a graduate of Archbishop Ryan High School and Drexel University. He may be from Philadelphia, but was destined for a trip to space.
I was always into the space program. I mean, even as a youngster, you know, I remember watching the Apollo launches, and I remember drawing little rockets, and I never knew that it would someday end to this.
Our own Valerie LeVague traveled to Houston for an exclusive interview with Ferguson at the culmination of his years of preparation for the mission. We'll bring you his story tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
Now, live, CBS 3 Eyewitness News at 11.
Philadelphia's own Chris Ferguson and the other Space Shuttle Atlantis astronauts are now in orbit.
3 main engines up and burning. 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis. Opening a new
Mission Control closely monitored what they call a clean launch with the help of this NASA video. The crew will go back to work on the construction of the International Space Station. Atlanta pilot Chris Ferguson was born and raised in Philadelphia, a graduate of both Archbishop Ryan High School and Drexel University. Our own Valerie LeVague traveled to Houston for an exclusive interview with him at the culmination of his years of training for the shuttle flight.
The man behind the mission to space is Chris Ferguson, the pilot on Atlantis and a Philadelphia native.
Well, I was always into the space program. I mean, even as a youngster, you know, I remember watching the Apollo launches, and I remember drawing little rockets, and I never knew that it would someday end to this.
But this is just on this 11-day mission. It will be his first time in space.
You actually go from 0 to 17,500 miles per hour in about 8.5 minutes, so it's pretty good acceleration. It's a pretty good ride.
And one he has been training for 4 years.
You guys help pack us all in, and before we know it, we're ready to go.
It's very uplifting, and at the same time, it's very rewarding to see all these years of work, you know, culminating in this successful launch.
and liftoff of Space Shuttle Columbia.
NASA stopped its shuttle launches after Columbia crashed.
These astronauts knew the dangers, and they faced them willingly.
But NASA stands by its commitment to be in space.
We're in a valley, and we can see the distant hills. And unless we go look to see what's beyond those hills, the valley is all we'll ever have.
Chris's mission will bring supplies to the International Space Station, including a large piece of solar equipment. This animation shows what the space station will look like once it's done. The crew will live in tight quarters. There's not a lot of space in space. They will sleep on these hammocks. And they are only allowed to bring what will fit in these drawers. The shuttle is filled with mostly equipment and over 1,000 buttons.
You touch the shiny switches and you leave the rusty switches alone.
Chris's mother, who lives in Bucks County, is proud of her son.
I can't begin to tell you because it kind of makes me fill up a little bit.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I pinch myself every morning when I wake up.
Chris is a graduate at Archbishop Ryan High School and Drexel University. Both schools will be watching the launch closely. Valerie LeVague, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Tonight, friends and family here in Ferguson's hometown are keeping a close eye on the Atlantis mission.
Look at the one.
And there they go.
You go, Chris.
They're pretty excited, a proud moment for the Konstance family of Northeast Philadelphia. Only CBS 3 was with them as they watched the launch this morning. They've been friends with Chris Ferguson and his family for 25 years.
It's a celebration of family, of faith, of neighborhood, of a Northeast Philadelphia kid done good.
The Konstances made the trip to Florida to watch the liftoff from the Kennedy Space Center, but they had to return home after the launch was delayed.